Hello and welcome to another episode of Blunt Insight. My name is Iman and I am your host and also the CEO and founder of Blunt Creative Inc., a cannabis digital marketing agency. Today I'm joined by Andrea and Katie from Barbette, a sparkling water company. And before we get into hearing their story about how they started and a little bit more about what inspired them, I first want to share a story about how I met Andrea. And so this is kind of funny because usually it doesn't go this way, but it just stuck out to me and it was so memorable. So we went to Lift & Co., which is a cannabis conference in Toronto earlier in November. And there was an after party at this bar and like everyone was there. And you know what happens when girls get a little tipsy and they go into the bathroom, they start chit-chatting about hair and lipstick and makeup and whatever. So there was this girl who saw a Barbette sticker on the floor in one of the bathroom stalls. And then Andrea has a Barbette sticker on the back of her phone. So she saw that and she was like, "Oh, I saw the sticker on the bathroom floor. Like, what is that?" And then Andrea, I don't know how you were prepared to do this, but she launched into a full pitch about Barbette and what it stands for. And there was probably 10 girls there just listening to her talk about Barbette. And every time the door opened and someone else walked into the bathroom, they just stopped and listened to her too. And it was just unlike something I had ever seen before. And I was in awe because I was like, this is such a girl boss moment. Like, it was just so powerful. So then I was like, I'm going to follow you. I want you on my podcast. Like, tell me everything. So that's why we're here today. And Andrea, kudos to you for having the courage to do that. I probably would not have, but that was very inspirational. And it was amazing to hear about you and how you started Barbette. And so I'm going to give you and Katie the chance now to introduce yourselves and then tell us a little bit about how you got the idea to start Barbette. So Andrea, you can go ahead, and then Katie, you will get a chance to afterwards as well.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having us. Definitely one of the more memorable / funny ways of introducing Barbette to someone.
Right.
And I remember coming back up, our other sister was actually at the event, and I came running back up and I was like, "You'll never guess what happened in the bathroom. I just had like 15 girls, like engaged audience listening to me talk about Barbette." And she's like, "What?" So a very funny transition. And I think like one of the key parts definitely that we've learned in this journey is just about putting yourself out there. And that was definitely a moment for me because I'm not someone who loves networking, not someone who loves that kind of situation, but
Right.
Obviously everyone made me feel so comfortable and like very engaged audience. Not generally.
We were all listening so actively. We were like,
yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you again for having us. So I'm Andrea, I'm one of the co-founders. Katie's actually my sister, and we have started the company Barbette. And so prior to Barbette, I was working in the cannabis space, hence why I was at a Lift & Co. event. And prior to that, I was actually working in loyalty marketing. Katie has the kind of inception story down just because it's very personal to herself.
Sure.
So I'll kind of let her introduce Barbette first, and then we can go from there.
Awesome.
Yeah, first of all, I can totally picture. I wasn't there when the bathroom incident happened, not an incident, but I could totally picture it. And Andrea would shine in that moment. I wish I was there.
It was amazing.
I'm Katie, as Andrea said, we're sisters. And we started this company. I come from a different background in actually beauty trend forecasting in New York. And then So it's a bit of a shift to this. We have very diverse backgrounds. But it started right at the beginning of the pandemic, so probably March 2020, I guess. And yeah, like I have epilepsy and had a bad seizure, and just kind of cut out all all alcohol drinks for a while. And it was kind of one of those slowish kind of things. I just couldn't find anything that that I wanted to drink that was still elevating my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Diet Coke kind of felt juvenile, and so we kind of decided to fill this hole in the market and create this drink.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so Katie had this very personal experience where we have a very big family. So Katie and I are technically stepsisters, but we've been stepsisters for 21 years. So we've dropped the first half of that label, but with that comes a blended family. So we have 6 siblings on my mom's side,
Wow.
and my mom and Katie's dad's side. And so in those social settings, Katie kept kind of feeling this void in her hand where she didn't have like this elevated product or flavor that really fit the mood. And then even we had long conversations even about those solo moments when you're sitting reading a book or you're on the dock, like you want to reach for something that's going to companion the mood that you're trying to create. And we couldn't find anything. So Katie literally talked my ear off for probably 2 months, and we did a ton of research. And so we did identify that there was this like little bit of white space that was in the sparkling water category here in Toronto, and more specifically, probably the rest of Canada, in that we really wanted Barbette to kind of take a bold move in trying to put alcohol and non-alcoholic drinks on a level playing field. And with that, we say that we want to eradicate the question of why aren't you drinking, and replace it with the question of what are you drinking? Focus on ingredients, focus on flavor profile, focus on the brand ethos or like the story behind a brand versus the alcohol payload that the drink is giving you.
Right.
And so we set up on this. There was kind of 2 parts. Obviously, make a delicious drink, and we wanted some complexity in the flavor. And when we get into the 3 that we're launching with, we can go specific there. But then also a beautiful can design. We wanted the can to be elevated so that you felt included in a solo moment by yourself, and that you felt like that moment was not just something that you'd replicated from your childhood in terms of the drink that you're reaching for. And then also in social moments, we wanted you to feel included in that. I mean, everyone's probably been at an event or party where you don't have anything in your hand, and it's like the most awkward situation. And so let's put something in that hand that is beautiful and it fits in. And we took a lot of inspiration from the craft beer industry when we started designing the can. We have a wonderful team that we worked with here in Toronto that did all of the design work for us. And yeah, that's kind of how Barbette started. It was 18 months ago that we kind of hatched the idea, and now we actually have cans in our hands, which is really exciting.
Hands in her hands. I like that. Katie, did you want to add anything?
No, I think Andrea summed it perfectly. But yeah, it was kind of one of those moments where I realized I didn't miss the drink itself. It was more about the culture that surrounded it,
Right.
and kind of feeling like, as Andrea always says, it's the only drug that people do. They ask, why aren't you doing it?
Yep.
And I just wanted to we wanted to shift the conversation a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly so inspirational. Like, not very many products are created because of a situation like that. And the fact that you saw an opportunity and you seized it and you made it come to life, like, that's so inspirational and motivational. But, like with starting any business, there's always challenges. And so, a physical product is a little bit harder and probably more challenging than a service-based business. So what were some of the challenges that you faced when you were starting to create Barbette?
I think, I think one of our biggest challenges was that we neither one of us have any experience in the beverage industry. So it was, a lot of, we like to say, blind optimism and a bit of, naivety. We didn't know what we didn't know. So I think, kind of probed us to say, well, why can't we do that? And why can't we do that?
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of blind optimism for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I mean, like, the boring side of it, there's obviously some operational hurdles that we are now dealing with. Everyone's dealing with. There's some global supply chain issues. 2 of the things that we need to make our product, aluminum and corrugate, are 2 of one of the main raw material sources that are on a global shortage. So that was interesting to navigate. And as a small brand and a small business, we obviously don't have the purchasing power of the big companies. So
Right.
Finding partners, which I would like to say we've successfully done along the way, but finding people who believe in the product, I think first has been really important to us. And then seeing that we're going to go on a growth trajectory and being willing to take us on in this small stage to grow with us has really been great. And I mean, when we talk about our aluminum cans and our corrugate, those are some of the partners that we specifically probably owe something to, just because they did take us on while they have large clients obviously ordering.
Oh, wow.
And then I think to Katie's point, yeah, like we don't have beverage experience. I mean, we have experience in the fact that we've been drinking sparkling waters all of our lives. We really love sparkling water. So we have a taste experience, but in terms of formulating and designing packaging and working with a co-packer specifically in the beverage space, we didn't have that. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I worked in cannabis because I do think cannabis is this hodgepodge of everything, where a lot of us work in such small companies or at smaller licensed producers, and you do have to wear many hats. So while I was the marketing director at a licensed producer, I touched operations, I touched packaging, I touched co-packing, I touched working with the OCS, and so sales and all of those pieces. So that's been a really great marriage. And then obviously Katie's been able to bring to the table her forecasting when it comes to like the overall visual impact and working with our branding team on that. But yeah, I definitely think that the biggest challenge was probably where to start. And I think that's probably one of the most overwhelming questions that any new entrepreneur asks themselves, because like a great idea, there's so many great ideas out there, and I'm sure tons of them get left on the table just because like you don't know where to start. And that is definitely was our hardest feat.
That's very interesting. So, you know, it's true though. Knowing where to start is the biggest challenge, but look at how far you came, you know? So it just goes to show, if you don't take that first step, even though you might not know where you're going or how you're going to navigate, then you're just never going to get anywhere. So honestly, that's very inspirational from both of you for figuring that out along the way. And it's also nice to know that your past experiences helped, even though it may not have been in the beverages industry. And that's something that I think people tend to underestimate, is they think that they're not experienced, or they doubt themselves, or they're a little bit scared because they're like, I've never done this before. But blind optimism and just taking that first step, right? So
for sure.
Honestly, that's amazing. And I really wholeheartedly believe in the mission behind Barbette, because when I heard that pitch, I just saw the passion behind it. And I don't even want to keep putting you on the spot, Andrea, but I just felt that passion. And it was just something that I haven't felt before. So I want to ask, you know, what is it about Barbette that's different from other sparkling water brands that makes you that passionate about it?
Well, I think we're rooted in more than just sparkling water. I mean, each of our cans gives back to a certain organization that's really important to both Andrea and I. We have Wildcard, which is Save Our Scruff, which is a dog adoption, advocacy, and education. And both Andrea and I have rescue dogs from there. And we have Lightwave that goes towards ocean and lake plastic pollution cleanup. And women, and then the other one, Barbette, goes towards women empowerment and gender equity. So it's rooted in more than just sparkling water. That was very important to us from the get-go, that it's built into our brand. And you know, as we start off, obviously our impact of giving back isn't huge, but it had to be part of our structure from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Wow, how'd you choose those causes to give back to?
They were just very important to both of us. Save Our Scruff was easy. That was the easiest one for sure, because we have both been rescue proponents for a long time. And I have rescue dogs, and Andrea Sadie, I have Gulliver now. And just, I mean, obviously lake plastic pollution was very important to us. And so obviously we're two female founders, and women empowerment and gender equity. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just adding to Katie's point, like I think finding the charity partners, so defining where we were going to give back was definitely an exercise, and we went through it. And I think eventually getting an understanding of what our community believes in as well will be really important to us. Barbette, while like seemingly seems like it was built by Katie and I, it really took a giant community behind us to do this. So like we have a wonderful brand team that we work with here in Toronto. We have all of our supply chain partners, our sales partners, our retail partners, like everyone along the way has kind of believed in Barbette and has helped us forward. And the same goes with our charity partners. Like right now, as Katie mentioned, 3 cents from every can is going to that charity partner. Our volumes are very low. We just started. We're the first ones to say that. So for them to come on and dedicate their time out of their busy schedule in order to help us create this product and this beverage has also been really amazing in terms of that community aspect. And so Save Our Scruff, A Greener Future, and Good to Be Good, all local GTA, grassroots Toronto-based charity partners that have really kind of stepped in to help us build that. And that's kind of the ethos around like being more than just a sparkling water, is we want to go beyond just the bubbles and focus on the community of people that are drinking it.
That's amazing. That's not something a lot of companies do. They usually, start the brand with a different story, and then if they see that that's not working, then they'll try to donate and be like, oh, look at us, we're doing all this cool stuff. But the fact that you did that right from the get-go just shows that your heart's really in the right place. And I know that that's what makes you super passionate about it too, because it's not just you who's going to benefit, it's all these other communities and people that are going to benefit as well. And it helps you stand out both on social media and when you're talking to just having conversations with people. So from a branding aspect, it was a great decision, and I'm honestly really happy to hear that. So
thank you.
Yeah,
and actually just one other thing to note too. Are you going to talk about BCorp?
Yeah. Well, yes. Another thing was becoming a BCorp. So we are actually now a pending BCorp, and hopefully within the next 12 months we'll become a certified BCorp, which is also very important from day one for us. Even though it seemed, some I'm sure it could seem like something you can put on the back burner for a little while, but it's definitely pursued right from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think to your point of like start. Like we even in our initial pitch decks, we were like, let's act and think like a pending like a B Corp. Right. And I think that idea of like rooting and ingraining values at the ground floor was really important to us. So the B Corp is obviously one of them. And part of becoming a B Corp is writing right into your incorporation, your articles of incorporation, that you will do and make decisions for the betterment of like society and the environment. So again, very important to us. And so that's now like written right into our incorporation articles.
Amazing. And I can't wait to see you share that on social media platforms and like with email newsletters or events that you may hold in the future, because that's definitely something we don't see a lot of in the community and within companies in general. I mean, I know there are some that are really putting in the effort, but to be women owned and founded and be doing all this amazing stuff is just it's very admirable. So congratulations to the both of you.
Thank you.
Of course. So yeah, we touched briefly on like some of the challenges that you faced when you were creating Barbette drinks. And you said, blind optimism is very important, and, taking that first step, even though you may not know where to start. So to the listeners, they may have an idea that they want to act on, and they may be feeling really, really inspired right now. So if you could give them one piece of advice to start that business idea, what would it be? And I'd love to hear from both of you.
I think if you believe in it with like every bone in your body, like, believe in it wholeheartedly, then just go for it. Mm-hmm. I think if you are that inspired and you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out along the way. But I think step one is just believing in it wholeheartedly.
Believe in yourself. I like that. That's very important, because if you don't believe in it, who will?
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's like very much where my bathroom pitch confidence came from, was that ethos. And I think building on Katie's point, that's definitely the first step. And by like Katie and I are new entrepreneurs. This is our first business venture. So we speak from very limited experience in this, and we only have 18 months under our belt. So by no stretch do we know anything, or everything, I should say. Some days it feels like anything. But I think beyond the belief in the idea is definitely networking and reaching out to people, having conversations, getting an understanding of reactions to your idea. And then, like, speaking from our own experience, it was making contacts in the supply chain to help make that idea become a reality.
Right.
And I think another thing is just to surround yourself with people that you enjoy working with. And Andrea and I always say that we want to have great relationships with all of our suppliers and everyone along the way. And, we want to know what their kids were for Halloween. And we
that's cute.
And that's really important too. If you enjoy who you work with, then, it makes it a lot more fun along the way.
It's a lot better. I like that, because sometimes people tend to think that they can do it all by themselves. And that's never the case.
No.
Yeah. No. You need a support team.
Definitely a village, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I mean, sometimes I feel like that isn't even like that idea of needing to do it by yourself isn't out of like cockiness or confidence. Sometimes I feel like it's you don't want to bug someone, or you don't want to ask for a favor, which we completely understand. We definitely went back and forth on a lot of things where we're like, are we asking for too much? Are we bugging this person too much? But the reality is that I think like people are starting to create their own boundaries around how much time they'll donate outside of like their working hours. And if they're willing to speak to you, like just go for it and just like pick up that phone or send that email or send that text, like beyond friends obviously will always be there. But even people deeper in your network, like you'd be amazed at how many people are willing to just chat about an idea. And we've been lucky enough to encounter them. I mean, I've been lucky enough to carry over a lot of my friendships and work colleagues from the cannabis space and who are now kind of supporting us in this beverage endeavor. So yeah, I think it's not that you feel like you have to do it. You really don't have to do it alone.
Right. No, you're so right. Yeah. And
I'm learning more from Andrea on that one, because I'm not very good at reaching out and in terms of like asking people for, but getting better. It's definitely a learning process.
I feel you, because it's hard and it's intimidating. But I think what's important to remember is when people see that you're passionate about something, they do want to help you. If they think that you're just going to waste their time, then they're probably not going to help you. So again, it has to start with that belief in yourself, like you said, and that blind optimism that, I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to ask as many questions as I can, and I'm going to do my best and put my best foot forward, and whatever happens type of thing. Yeah. That's amazing.
And I think just the last point on this one.
For sure, yeah.
Like, depending on the idea, depending on the opportunity, there could be money involved, of course, if you're creating a prototype or like a beta phase. But the worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't work. Like that's the worst. And I know that there's some ego involved in that. As I said, there's maybe some money and your own time, but like that's it. It's just not going to work. And then you know that you tried and you can move on from there. And I think that's kind of where Katie and I got to when we were talking back and forth. We were like, if we don't do this, if we don't try, we'll always wonder what if.
Right. That's really, I hope the listeners are like taking notes right now, because you are dropping just amazing pieces of advice. And I'm so happy that both of you are sharing your stories. And I really hope to see, Barbette turn out to be like bigger than bubbly, bigger than Diet Coke or Coke in general, and, just take over the industry. So with that said, though, what are the next 6 months looking like for Barbette? What do you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Back to the cans in hands comment. We've only had them in our hands for about a month. So we're still very fresh babies here. But I think for the next 6 months, we want to make sure, and sorry, I should start by saying, we're so, again, gracious to everyone that has liked our posts, shared our Instagram profile, purchased some product, asked where to purchase it, made introductions to retailers. Like, that has been an amazing accomplishment, I think, in and of itself. But beyond that, the next 6 months, I hopefully thinking launching in new markets. So we've barely scratched the surface on Ontario. I mean, again, we've just launched. We are in a few retailers right now, hoping to bring on some more. Where we want to be really thoughtful in how we do that, making sure that we're not putting our product everywhere, not being able to have those direct one-to-one relationships with people who are selling our product. So yeah, I think it's just about bringing on more retailers, and then just making sure that we continue that laser focus on the brand values that we've kind of set at the ground floor.
Absolutely. Right. And definitely at the beginning, it's for us, it's about, building it like authentically and organically and not veering off from our values and then allowing it to grow from there.
I like that. And I think that you're on the right path. So are you able to tell us which retailers you're currently in, or is that something you want to keep to yourself for now?
No, of course. Happy to tell you. So, I mean, the list is short.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't underestimate yourself. No, you've been doing great.
Thank you. Well, so we're available at Paradise Grapevine, which is on Bloor Street in Toronto. We are also available at Good, which is doing a pop-up store. I'm not sure when you're going to launch this podcast, but they're doing a pop-up for the month of December, and they're doing free delivery across the GTA, I believe. So our products are available there. They have an amazing collection of curated artisan products. And then we're also available at Reed's Distillery in the East End. Oh, wow. And then of course our website, you can order directly from us. And we have some fairly good shipping times, I would say. We're working on it. But you can order 12 packs, or we have a a sample pack available, which is 2 of each can for people to try so that they can figure out which flavor they like, or if they like them all, or if they don't like any of them.
That's amazing. That's a really good way to get people introduced to your products slowly rather than having them purchase a full case of a flavor they might not like. But speaking of flavors, can you tell us which flavors you have? Because I remember you told me last time they all sounded great. So yeah, why don't you share with the audience?
So we have 3. We have Light Wave, which is cucumber, pineapple, and lavender. We have Love Bite, which is pink grapefruit, ginger, and juniper. And we have Wild Card, which is blood orange, jalapeno, and calamansi, which is a Philippine lime.
Wow, those all sound really good. Yeah. So the taste
mixed with or without alcohol, it's one of those. If you want to mix it, great. If you don't, great. Drink freely is our kind of our tagline, and yeah, so they're kind of, again, back to the whole level playing field of alcoholic and non-alcoholic.
Right. Drink freely and can in your hand. You have really good slogans. I have to give it to you for the creativity, honestly. So before we get into, telling people where to reach you, is there anything you want to say, just for the audience to hear, any advice that you want to share, any last tips that you would like to give?
I mean, I guess I would just say, yeah, if you have an idea that you were inspired by, that you like wholeheartedly believe in, then just go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with Katie. And I think maybe to add to that, like, again, we are very fresh in this space, but we have had some really great mentors, people who have given us their time. So we are here to bounce ideas off of or to have conversations. So never hesitate to reach out either through our Instagram, which is at Drink Barbette, or through our website, which is drinkbarbette.com. And we would happily get back to you.
That's so amazing. All right. So you kind of answered my last question, which was tell people where to reach you, but that's okay. So once again, it was drinkbarbette.com.
Yes. And
the Instagram is also drinkbarbette.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I'll drop both of those links in the comments below and you guys should check them out. Andrea and Katie, thank you both so much for your time and for taking the time today to share your stories. I know sometimes you can be in a position where you feel like you may not be an expert in something, but as a woman who's also running a business, it's just so nice to see someone starting an idea based off of a personal experience and being surrounded by other women who want to uplift them and help them be successful. So don't ever hesitate to share your story. And Andrea, next time you go into a bathroom,
man, I'm going to just bring stickers with me everywhere. So yeah, hopefully I meet some of you in the bathroom.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be hilarious. I wish I recorded that. That would be so funny.
I'm really happy you didn't.